Hello chess friends and welcome to Azar's chess channel and welcome to my Basics in Chess series. So we are continuing with the middle game strategies and with this recognition of pawn structures, and we are continuing with this Boleslavsky wall, but now we are continuing it with from black's perspective. I have finished now the Boleslavsky wall from white's perspective. Today we are continuing the Boleslavsky wall for black. And it's really important for you to know what are the ideas for white and for black in this Boleslavsky wall, because when you're playing a middle game, a complex middle game like in this Boleslavsky wall setups, it's really important for you to know what are your opponent's ideas, what are your opponent's threats, and basically we want to restrict our opponent's ability to play in order to get our plan working. So if you lose maybe a tempo, if you don't play accurate, well, you will probably lose the game in these types of setups. So let's see now this Boleslavsky war for black. What are the ideas? What are the common attacks and motifs in this setup? So one of the basic motifs is this f5 pawn breakthrough in order to get this central control of this e4 pawn. One of these motifs is this d5 pawn breakthrough, but it's really hard to get this plan working, because this d5 has to be really prepared, because in some occasions, of course, white has always this knight on c3 and the d5 idea is not so good. The other motive is, of course, this a6 b5 pawn breakthrough, and then after that, if the knight is here on c3, we can get in the tempo here maybe on b4. So these are the main strategical ideas. There is this also idea while playing the Boleslavsky wall. If you play maybe the move a6 and your opponent tries to move a4, well, then you can sometimes play a knight outpost yourself on c5, because your knight is not vulnerable to your opponent's pawn attacks with b4, because you can fix the position with moves a5, and you see this a4 b4 is not possible anymore. Your opponent doesn't have anymore the pawn on the d file, so your knight on c5 cannot be attacked by any pawn. So this is one of the motifs you can play in the Boleslavsky wall. The other thing is that sometimes it's even possible to sacrifice your pawn on d6. That's possible sometimes when you have this crowded situation that I will explain you now in this game. It's played by Anatoly Karpov against Garry Kasparov. Here Kasparov tried here this queenside attack with the move a6, and of course Karpov has a really strong battery on the d file. Here after d takes e5, we have knight takes on e5, but that's again the strategical idea in this Boleslavsky wall for black, to attack this c4 pawn. You see this c4 could be a weakness. It has to be fixed first by Karpov. He played the move b3, and here Kasparov played immediately on this queenside attack with the move b5. He doesn't care for this d6 pawn, because white has this crowded situation around his king. He would love to bring out his knight here on d4, then to develop the bishop maybe on e2, and then castle. But you see, white needs 3 more moves in order to get this plan working. Meanwhile, Kasparov has already created this queenside attack with the move b5. Here Karpov took out c takes b5, a takes b5, and that's also a common motif in this Boleslavsky wall. To get this a file opened, it's really important to open the a file, because we have now the possibility to play the move b4 and then deflect the knight from the defense of this a2 pawn. So that's why this Boleslavsky wall is, I think, for black, really important to create this early flank attack, because if you don't create it, you with this pawn down, you see Karpov took out the pawn on d6. We have knight on d7 played by Kasparov. So if you let your opponent now develop with knight on d4 and then bishop on e2 and then castling, of course white will continue the game with the pawn up. But now after knight on d7, well, you see white needs too many moves in order to secure his king. Still we have this flexible position on the queen side. We can attack the knight, and let's see now how Garry Kasparov continued in the game. Here f4 played by Karpov. He tried to prevent this b4. He wants to be faster on the attack, but now Kasparov played b4 anyway, because if you take f takes e5, then Kasparov can simply take, and you see this pawn is now a problem. That's why if you try maybe e6, then you can simply play f takes e6. After queen takes on e6, king on h8, the king is perfectly fine. This pawn on c3 is supported by the bishop, and this is, I think, playable simply for Kasparov. Still, we have possibilities to take out the a2 pawn. If you try something like a4, then this b3 is weak. So I think black is perfectly fine here. Still, white has the problems to castle here, so I don't think that's a good plan here for black. So here, after b4, knight on b1, and it's again an awkward position here for the knight, again on the starting square on b1. Here we have knight on g4 by Kasparov, attacking the bishop on d4, bishop takes on d4, queen takes on d4, because the queen has to move back, because here the e3 square is weak. So here finally rook takes on a2, and now the material is equal. Still, black has a better development. Again, white has this crowded situation. Now h3 was played, and now c5. You see Kasparov is simply attacking. Here queen on g1 was played, and now knight on f6. e5, knight on e4, we have h4. Karpov is trying this early flank attack. c4 was played, and now knight on c1. And here Kasparov finds a very strong idea. He plays c3. He leaves the rook hanging. Knight takes on a2 was played, now c2. If you try something like rook on c1, then you get knight on e5. Very strong move. If you take out the pawn, then you get bishop on g4 with a preparation to checkmate here on d1. That's why bishop on e2 would have been played, and now we have knight on d3, bishop takes on d3, queen takes on d3. So again, the rook is hanging. You have to do something, and again we have this checkmate threat on d1. So of course this would be completely winning for black. So that's why after c2 we have queen on d4, we have c takes d1, king takes d1, now knight on c5, queen takes on d8, knight takes on d8, now king on c2, and now knight on f2. And in this position Karpov resigned, because if you try something like rook on h2, then you get bishop on f5 with a check. If you move the king, then you get knight on d1 with a check. If you try king on a1, then you get checkmated here on b3. So let's go back. Here a very important moment here, this a6 move. You see in this Boleslavsky wall, if you try something like a4 in order to block out the position, here you can simply take out the pawn. If you knight takes, then you see we can play maybe a5 and create this common knight outpost on c5. We can also play maybe queen on b6, attacking this b2 pawn. So this position on the queen side would be fixed, and then maybe search knight on h5 and this common f5 ideas, which are also common in this Boleslavsky wall. So as I said, very strong game here played by Garry Kasparov. Here after a6, preparing simply this b5 pawn breakthrough. Here he left simply d takes e5, knight takes on e5, attacking c4. I've explained it. So the common attacks are attacking this e4 and c4 pawns. So you see again, black has to react with the move b3, and now b5. Simple idea to create this flank attack here. Very strong move after queen takes on d6, knight on d7. Perfectly fine. This is simply playable. b4 ideas, f5 ideas. So very strong attack by the legendary Garry Kasparov. Okay, I hope you realize this idea. We are continuing the Boleslavsky wall. We will see this pawn breakthrough with the move d5, which is also common. Sometimes it's possible to get this d5 working, and it's if you if you probably manage to do this d5 in the Boleslavsky wall, I guarantee you you will probably win the game, because it has to be prepared, but it's really sometimes possible, because white relied simply here on this e4 and c4 wall. With this d5 you're breaking his wall, and it's really a nice attack. Okay, meanwhile you could watch my other basics in chess videos from my middle game strategies, opening principles, and the endgame strategies, and you can also watch my chess tactics and chess puzzles series if you want to see all of the possible tactical motifs that can happen in a chess game. And you can also subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.